He had been told many times that space was quiet, but Dr. Elias Ward never believed it. Space was never quiet. Machines hummed. Engines whispered through the hull like distant thunder. People moved with purpose, fear, hope, and uncertainty. Even silence had a sound if someone listened closely enough. Elias sat in the medical bay of the human diplomatic vessel, reviewing patient logs that were mostly routine. Minor injuries, muscle strain from low gravity work, stress headaches from long travel. Nothing unusual. The alert came without warning. A sharp tone cut through the calm air, followed by a message flashing across every console. Priority signal from the Galactic Union. Emergency medical request. Diplomatic clearance required. Elias leaned forward, surprised. Human ships were rarely called for urgent Union-level emergencies. Humanity was still new among the stars, still proving its value. He tapped the console and opened the transmission. The face that appeared belonged to an alien officer with pale blue skin and wide eyes that reflected both urgency and hesitation. Behind them, people moved quickly in a room filled with unfamiliar equipment. "We request immediate assistance," the officer said. "Our primary medical teams are unable to stabilize the patient. The situation is critical." Elias straightened. "What's the condition?" The officer paused, as if choosing words carefully. "A clot has formed in a highly sensitive internal region. The patient's species has extremely delicate structures. Automated systems cannot proceed without unacceptable risk." "Species?" "Envoy Lareth of the Illyrian delegation." Elias knew the name. The Illyrians were respected throughout the Union, known for their calm diplomacy and complex biology. Their anatomy had evolved in deep oceans under intense pressure, making them physically fragile outside their natural environment. Even minor injuries could become life-threatening. "And you're calling a human because?" Elias asked gently. The officer hesitated again. "Because your medical files indicate adaptability." Elias almost smiled. That was one way to describe human medicine. Within minutes, orders came through from command. The human vessel adjusted course, engines shifting direction toward the Union cruiser broadcasting the distress call. Elias gathered his tools, reviewing the limited medical data they sent. Most of it was technical, filled with unfamiliar terminology, but the central problem was clear. A clot located in an area that controlled essential bodily functions. Too aggressive a treatment could destroy surrounding tissue. Too slow, and the patient would not survive. He exhaled slowly. "All right," he murmured to himself. "Let's see what we're dealing with." The Union cruiser loomed large against the dark of space when they arrived. It was elegant and curved, designed with smooth, organic lines rather than the angular shapes common to human ships. Docking procedures were completed quickly, and Elias stepped through the airlock carrying a compact medical case. Alien crew members waited for him. Their movements were controlled but tense, eyes studying him with open curiosity. Humans were still something new, still a question mark. "This way," one of them said. They walked quickly through corridors filled with soft lighting and quiet urgency. Elias noticed the smell of antiseptic and something unfamiliar, slightly metallic and clean. The medical bay doors opened, revealing a large room crowded with equipment that looked advanced even compared to human standards. At the center lay Envoy Lareth. She was taller than he expected, her skin smooth and pale with faint patterns that shifted color slowly, almost like breathing light. Tubes connected her to monitoring devices. Her chest rose and fell unevenly. Several alien doctors turned as he entered. Their expressions ranged from relief to doubt. "You are the human medic?" one asked. "Yes," Elias said simply. The lead physician approached. "I am Specialist Rathan. We have attempted all approved procedures. The clot remains stable but dangerous. Its location prevents safe intervention." Elias set his case down and moved closer to the patient. He did not touch anything at first. Instead, he watched. He listened to the rhythm of the monitors, the slight tremor in her breathing, the subtle color changes in her skin. "What have you tried?" he asked. Rathan began listing treatments, nanotech circulation systems, chemical dissolvers, pressure regulation. Everything sounded precise, logical, and careful. "And none worked," Elias said quietly. "The risk threshold is too high," another doctor added. "We cannot justify experimental action." Elias nodded slowly. He understood their perspective. Many advanced species relied on proven protocols, avoiding unpredictable risks. Humans were different. "Can I review the full scan?" he asked. They projected a three-dimensional image of Lareth's internal structure. The clot appeared as a dense mass positioned dangerously close to delicate pathways that controlled multiple functions. Even a slight miscalculation could cause irreversible harm. Elias studied it for a long time. "What happens if we do nothing?" he asked. Silence filled the room. "She will not survive," Rathan finally said. Elias folded his arms, thinking. He noticed something unusual. The clot's shape suggested it was reacting to environmental stress rather than purely biological factors. "Has her environment been adjusted?" he asked. The doctors exchanged confused looks. "Our systems maintain optimal parameters," one said. "Optimal based on what?" Elias asked gently. "Standard Illyrian medical guidelines." He nodded again. "Right, but guidelines assume normal circumstances. She isn't in normal circumstances. She's on a ship under stress, surrounded by unfamiliar stimuli." They hesitated, clearly unsure about his approach. Elias stepped closer to the bed and spoke softly, though he wasn't sure if she could hear him. "You've been fighting a long time, haven't you?" Her skin flickered faintly. One of the doctors frowned. "Communication is not necessary. She is unconscious." "It helps me think," Elias replied calmly. He turned back to the scan. "This clot isn't just sitting there, it's responding. Something is triggering it." "Are you suggesting emotional factors?" Rathan asked, skeptical. "I'm suggesting the body is more than numbers," Elias said. He requested changes to lighting, sound levels, and temperature. The alien staff hesitated but complied. Slowly, Lareth's breathing shifted slightly, becoming more regular. "Interesting," Elias murmured. He began planning a procedure that combined precise alien technology with hands-on control. Instead of allowing automated systems to handle everything, he would guide the process manually, adjusting moment by moment. "That is highly irregular," one doctor said. "So is the situation," Elias replied. Time passed quickly as they prepared. Political representatives arrived, watching from behind transparent panels. The tension grew heavier. Humanity's reputation stood quietly in the background of every glance. Elias ignored it. He focused only on the patient. As the final preparations completed, he paused beside the bed for a moment, breathing slowly. He knew the risks, but he also knew hesitation could be just as dangerous as action. "All right," he said softly. "Let's begin." The room became very still as the procedure started, machines activating and lights focusing on the delicate area displayed on the screen. Every movement mattered. And somewhere beyond the machines and protocols, a human medic trusted something more than technology: the ability to adapt, observe, and care in ways no system could fully predict. The hum of the medical bay was almost deafening in Elias Ward's ears. Every monitor beeped with life, projecting numbers, graphs, and readings that told a story more complex than any human patient he had ever treated. Yet, despite all the alien technology, he noticed something the others did not. Subtle vibrations in the machinery, almost imperceptible, mirrored Lareth's biological rhythms. The human mind could read patterns that machines sometimes missed, and Elias focused intently. He could feel the tension in the room, heavy and silent, like a compressed weight pressing on every observer. Even the Illyrian doctors, who had rarely shown emotion, were on edge. Their species relied on exact procedures, precision, and rules. Humans relied on adaptability, intuition, and observation. That difference had become painfully clear. Elias adjusted a device near Lareth with careful hands. The machine was intended to stabilize the clot, but it was responding erratically, as if resisting control. Alien medics exchanged worried glances. In their world, resistance meant failure. Humans saw it as a problem to solve. Elias leaned closer, whispering instructions to himself and to the instruments. His fingers moved quickly but deliberately, making adjustments not visible on the screens. Sometimes the best work happened in the space between data points, where intuition guided action. The other doctors watched in silence, unsure if this human approach was brilliance or reckless folly. He paused, observing the Illyrian envoy. Lareth's skin flickered in response to her surroundings. Not just machines, not just instruments, but light, sound, pressure, everything influenced her fragile body. Elias realized that technology alone could not solve this problem. The clot, he thought, was more than biological. It was reactive, almost aware. He could not rely solely on standard procedures or automated tools. If he followed conventional protocols, she would die. Humans thrived in unconventional circumstances. That was the difference. Dr. Ward, Rathan said cautiously, we have all possible support available. Our nanobots are ready, chemicals prepared, systems are optimized. Anything beyond this is untested, high risk. I know, Elias replied calmly. I'm aware of the risk, but so far the risk of inaction is greater. I need your cooperation. The alien specialist hesitated but nodded. He did not fully trust Elias yet, but he could not deny the logic. Lareth's condition was deteriorating. Time was not on their side. Elias reviewed the nanobot arrays, studying the way they could interact with her unique physiology. In humans, nanobots could be delicate yet predictable. With Lareth, their movement needed adjustments in real time. Even the slightest misalignment could damage critical tissue. He began mapping the procedure in his mind, predicting the clot's response. The key, he decided, was not just removing the clot but coaxing it into a controllable state. As he prepared, he noticed the human tendency to communicate while working. He spoke aloud, narrating his actions. Adjusting nanobot flow, reducing temperature variation. Monitoring reactive pathways, slight pause to stabilize pressure. The alien doctors listened, uncertain at first, but then began to understand the rhythm of his thought process. Humans could make mistakes, yes, but they could also adapt instantly. That adaptability was invaluable. Suddenly, one monitor beeped sharply. The clot had shifted. A microbubble had formed near critical tissues. Automated warnings flashed, demanding immediate intervention. Elias did not panic. He leaned closer, hands steady, eyes calm. He assessed the situation quickly. The microbubble was not a sign of failure. It was a natural response. Illyrians had evolved with self-protective mechanisms. The clot reacted defensively. If handled with care, it would stabilize. If forced, it would rupture. He instructed the nanobots to slow, relying now on manual guidance. He controlled their movement with precise, almost imperceptible gestures. The alien medics watched, their skepticism turning into curiosity. Some even mirrored his movements with auxiliary controls. The procedure was no longer solely human or alien. It became a collaboration. Hours passed. The medical bay was a blend of advanced technology and human intuition. Elias adjusted flow rates, monitored color changes, and felt the rhythm of Lareth's reactions. He noticed the subtle flexing of her muscle structures, the tiny pulses in her vascular system, the way her skin responded to light and temperature. Each detail guided him. Every second mattered. During a brief pause, Rathan approached. Dr. Ward, how are you sure of your method? We have never observed a human manipulate nanotechnology this way. It is highly irregular. Elias smiled faintly, though tired. Because I can feel what the machines cannot. Technology alone cannot read subtle cues. Biology has language beyond numbers. I can listen to it. The alien specialist did not respond, but he watched closely as Elias resumed work. There was something almost mesmerizing about the calm determination of the human. Others relied on certainty, protocols, and algorithms. Humans relied on adaptability, creativity, and observation. In this moment, that difference made all the difference. As the clot continued to respond, a sudden spike in Lareth's vital signs made alarms ring again. Her blood pressure dropped sharply. The room tensed. Automated systems demanded immediate correction. The alien medics began suggesting emergency measures, measures that could harm surrounding tissue. Elias raised a hand. Stop, let me try. He assessed her condition quickly, relying on a combination of visual cues and tactile feedback transmitted through specialized instruments. He adjusted a small valve, redirected a microflow, and applied gentle stimulation. Slowly, her vital signs stabilized. The team watched in awe. Human intuition had avoided a crisis that machines could not manage. Hours turned into a full cycle of work. Elias moved with relentless focus, careful to balance intervention with observation. Lareth's body reacted constantly. Every action required thought, every decision had consequence. Yet Elias remained calm, methodical, and adaptive. Even when unexpected reactions occurred, sudden changes in clot density, unpredictable microbubbles, minor shifts in pressure, he responded immediately, modifying his approach without hesitation. By late cycle, the room had shifted. The alien medics no longer doubted him. They assisted, observing and learning from every human adjustment. A collaboration formed, a fusion of alien precision and human intuition. Where rules alone would fail, adaptability succeeded. Where automated systems faltered, observation guided action. Yet the most dangerous part remained, removing the clot entirely without damaging surrounding tissue. The area was so sensitive that a single misstep could result in permanent loss of function. Elias reviewed the scans again, manually overlaying real-time observations with predictive modeling. He calculated every angle, every movement, every possible reaction. Then, slowly, deliberately, he began the final stage. His hands moved in a coordinated rhythm, guiding the nanobots and instruments with extreme care. Every micro-adjustment was based on observation, not protocol. The clot responded, slowly releasing tension. The alien doctors assisted, following his lead. The room was silent except for the soft hum of instruments and the occasional alarm, now mostly informational. Time became fluid. Minutes felt like hours. Every breath, every heartbeat, every subtle shift in skin color mattered. Elias adjusted flow rates, altered light exposure, and monitored responses. He noticed the clot responding to subtle vibrations in the air, tiny temperature shifts, and even the emotional energy in the room. Human empathy, he realized, was an invisible tool. Calm focus and confidence could influence outcomes in ways technology could not. Suddenly, an unexpected response occurred. The clot expanded briefly before shrinking. Automated systems began issuing warnings again. Some alien medics panicked, ready to override. Elias remained calm. He understood the reaction. This was a defensive response similar to human trauma reflexes. He did not force it. Instead, he adjusted the environment slightly, dimming lights, reducing ambient vibration, modulating pressure, allowing the clot to calm naturally. The human ability to improvise under pressure, to observe, and to adjust in real time made the impossible possible. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the clot began to yield. Microflows stabilized, tissue tension relaxed. The alien doctors observed with a mix of awe and disbelief. Humans, they realized, had a unique approach. Where rules and machines failed, humans thrived. Hours passed and the final removal approached. Elias guided the instruments with utmost care, narrating each step aloud for clarity. Micro-adjustment, slight tilt, observe color change, maintain pressure, patience. Every instruction was deliberate, every move measured. The room was tense, but not with fear. There was focus, anticipation, and a quiet understanding that something extraordinary was happening. The clot, which had seemed immovable and dangerous, now reacted to human-guided technique. It slowly separated, yielding to careful hands. The alien medics mirrored the movements, supporting the procedure. It became a coordinated dance, human intuition leading, alien technology amplifying. Finally, the clot released completely. Vital signs stabilized fully. Monitors displayed readings within safe ranges. Relief swept through the medical bay. The tension, once palpable, dissipated. Alien doctors looked at Elias with newfound respect. Human adaptability had saved the envoy where advanced technology alone could not. Elias exhaled, finally allowing himself a moment of rest. His hands were steady, his mind clear. Lareth's body was stable, her complex systems functioning normally again. For the first time, the team could breathe easily. Specialist Rithan approached him cautiously. "Dr. Ward, you have done what we believed impossible. Your methods, human methods, they work where ours could not." Elias smiled faintly. "Sometimes rules and protocols are not enough. Sometimes you need to observe, adapt, and trust your instincts. That's what humans do." Rithan nodded slowly. The respect in his eyes was unmistakable. This was more than medical success. It was a lesson in perspective. Humans were young among the stars, inexperienced by interstellar standards, yet capable of feats that other species could not imagine. Even as the room settled, Elias remained vigilant. There was still recovery ahead. Lareth's body had endured tremendous stress. He monitored the vitals, adjusted support systems, and continued subtle care. Humans were not perfect, but they were persistent, attentive, and adaptable. These qualities had just saved a life. In the quiet moments that followed, the alien medics whispered among themselves. They had witnessed something unprecedented. A human medic, relying not solely on machines or rigid protocols, but on observation, empathy, and adaptive skill, guiding a critical procedure to success. It was a lesson in humility, ingenuity, and the remarkable potential of a species often underestimated. Elias looked at Lareth, breathing steadily under the monitor's watchful eyes. He had done what others could not. And in doing so, he had proven that sometimes the greatest strength was not the most advanced technology or rigid precision, but the courage, adaptability, and ingenuity of a single human mind, working under pressure when the stakes were highest. For the Illyrians observing him, it was a revelation. Humans were more than newcomers, they were problem solvers, risk-takers, observers who could see what others could not. In that room, in that moment, the young species proved that in the galaxy, humanity had a place, not just among the powerful, but among those capable of achieving the impossible. The hours following the procedure were quiet but tense. The medical bay no longer hummed with urgent alarms, yet Elia's ward remained alert, watching every reading on the monitors. Envoy Lareth's breathing had steadied, her vital signs were within safe ranges, and the clot that had threatened her life was gone. Still, human instinct told him that the work was not over. Recovery in this case would be delicate. Her species was not like humans. Their physiology was complex, sensitive, and influenced by more factors than any one machine could measure. Even after a successful procedure, one misstep could cause regression, infection, or other unforeseen complications. He adjusted the monitoring instruments and began reviewing her biological responses. Each system interacted with the others in ways that were subtle, almost imperceptible. If he missed a minor fluctuation, it could trigger complications hours later. Elias took a deep breath, letting his training and experience guide him. Humans were taught to notice patterns that others overlooked, to anticipate problems before they became crises. That skill, combined with adaptability, had been the difference between life and death for Lareth. The alien medics observed him closely. Some had never seen a human work in this way. They relied heavily on protocols, pre-programmed responses, and the guidance of machines. Elias relied on observation, intuition, and direct interaction. He spoke softly, narrating his actions, explaining each adjustment to the team. Flow stabilized, temperature gradient adjusted, minor correction in pressure, heart rate within normal variance, allowing natural recovery to continue. His voice was calm, measured, and reassuring. Specialist Rathan approached, concern in his expression. Dr. Ward, your methods are unconventional, yet they have succeeded where all others failed. How do you know what to do next? Elias smiled faintly. I watch, I listen, I respond. Biology speaks if you pay attention. Technology helps, but it cannot replace careful observation. And sometimes patience is the most powerful tool. Rathan studied him, silent for a moment. Slowly he nodded. We have much to learn from you. The atmosphere in the bay shifted. What had begun as skepticism transformed into curiosity and admiration. The alien medics who had once doubted the human now assisted willingly, observing, learning, and even mimicking his adjustments. For the first time, human adaptability and alien precision worked in harmony, producing results neither could achieve alone. As the day turned to night, or at least to the cycle of artificial light aboard the ship, Elias monitored Lareth's condition carefully. Subtle changes in her skin tone indicated fluctuations in oxygen distribution, a sign that her body was still adjusting to being outside her natural environment. He modified environmental controls, slight shifts in temperature, adjusting ambient light, and fine-tuning pressure. Each adjustment, though minor, had a profound effect on her stability. Time moved slowly, almost imperceptibly, but the human's mind remained sharp. He noted the way her muscles relaxed, the rhythm of her breathing, the faint pulsations beneath her skin. It was a language only someone willing to observe closely could understand. He spoke softly to her, even though she remained unconscious. You're safe now, we're watching. Everything is going to be okay? Whether she could hear him, he did not know, but the words reassured him, allowed him to stay focused. Humans often worked with empathy, seeing the patient as a whole rather than just a system to repair. Meanwhile, the political observers in the bay's viewing gallery whispered among themselves. Some were impressed, others skeptical. Could a human, a newcomer among the stars, truly succeed where the best alien medical technology had failed? As hours passed and no complications arose, the room's tension eased. Even the union representatives began to understand. Humans had something special. A subtle vibration ran through the bay, drawing Elias' attention. Lareth's body had begun a natural recalibration process. The clot's removal had triggered a cascade of biological adjustments. Blood flow, neural activity, and cellular regeneration all interacted to restore equilibrium. Elias monitored carefully, adjusting environmental factors to support the process. Gradual normalization, he said softly. Systems stabilizing naturally. Continue monitoring. By the following cycle, Lareth began showing signs of consciousness. Her eyelids fluttered, her eyes opening slowly to reveal deep, expressive pupils. She looked around, confused at first before her gaze settled on Elias. Recognition sparked, and a subtle smile touched her lips. The alien medics watched in astonishment. A human had guided their colleague through a procedure that no one else had dared attempt. Elias remained calm. "You're safe now, rest, everything is stable." She blinked, taking shallow breaths as she attempted to sit up. He gently guided her back, supporting her fragile frame. "Don't rush, your body needs time." Over the next few hours, Lareth's strength returned gradually. She listened as Elias explained the adjustments he had made, how her body had reacted, and the subtle environmental changes that had allowed her recovery. She asked questions, curious, thoughtful, and impressed. Humans, she realized, had a perspective unlike any other species she had encountered. Where others relied strictly on technology, humans combined tools with observation, patience, and intuition. Their adaptability made them uniquely capable of handling unpredictable situations. Specialist Rithan approached once more, this time with a respectful tone. "Dr. Ward, we have learned much today. Your methods are humbling. Perhaps humans are not only adaptable but also possess insight that exceeds our expectations." Elias nodded, accepting the acknowledgement but remaining focused. There was always more to observe, more to learn, more to ensure that recovery continued smoothly. Humans thrived in uncertainty, and he understood that vigilance and care were as essential as skill. As the day progressed, Lareth's recovery continued steadily. She began interacting with the alien medics, discussing the procedure and offering feedback. Her respect for the human medic grew with each passing moment. He had not only saved her life, but had done so with patience, intelligence, and empathy. For the first time, many of the alien medics questioned the limits of their protocols and systems. Perhaps there was more to medicine than precision and calculation. Perhaps the human approach, careful observation, adaptive response, and compassion could complement their own advanced technology. In the following cycle, Lareth was able to sit unaided. She spoke with clarity, recounting the sensations she had experienced during the procedure. Her words were measured, thoughtful, and filled with gratitude. "I felt a presence," she said softly. "Not just instruments, not just technology, but understanding. Someone paying attention, watching, adjusting. I felt safe." Elias smiled. "That's what humans do. We observe, we adapt, we care." Her eyes widened slightly. "It is remarkable. I never believed any species could combine technical skill and intuition in such a way. You humans are extraordinary." The union representatives, who had been watching from observation panels, took note. News of this unprecedented medical success spread quickly. Reports emphasized not just the technological solution, but the human element, the patience, empathy, and adaptive skill that made the procedure successful. Across the Galactic Union, humans gained a reputation as problem solvers, capable of accomplishing what others deemed impossible. As Lareth continued her recovery, Elias reflected on the events of the past day. He had acted under pressure, relying on observation and adaptability when technology alone was insufficient. He had collaborated with alien medics, combining human intuition with their precision. He had faced uncertainty and risk, and through careful, thoughtful action, had saved a life that no protocol could guarantee. In the quiet moments, he realized that this was humanity's strength, the ability to respond to the unexpected, to think creatively, to combine tools with insight, to adapt when circumstances demanded. Humans could not match every species in technological advancement, but their skill in improvisation and their willingness to engage directly with unpredictable challenges gave them a unique place in the galaxy. By the time Lareth was fully stable and able to communicate freely, the alien medics had transformed their view of humans. What had begun as skepticism had become respect and admiration. They had witnessed the extraordinary capacity of a human mind to solve complex problems, to navigate uncertainty, and to combine empathy with technical skill in ways no machine could replicate. Lareth herself addressed the council later, her voice calm but firm. Humanity has shown us that intelligence is not measured solely by technology or rules. Adaptability, observation, and care are equally powerful. We have learned that in moments of crisis, humans can accomplish what we others cannot even attempt. The story spread throughout the Galactic Union, a testament to human capability. Humans were young in interstellar affairs, yet they were capable of extraordinary feats. They could face the impossible, act decisively under pressure, and combine empathy with skill in ways that inspired awe. Elias Ward returned to his vessel quietly, monitoring the ongoing recovery of Lareth. He knew that this was only one life saved, but he also understood its significance. It was proof that humans had a place among the stars not because they were the strongest or the most technologically advanced, but because they could do what others could not: adapt, observe, and act with understanding and courage. The galaxy would remember this event. Humans had once again demonstrated their value, their ingenuity, and their unique ability to succeed where others faltered. And as Elias looked out at the vast expanse of space, he felt a quiet sense of pride. Humanity had faced the unknown and emerged stronger, proving that even in a universe full of advanced civilizations, the human spirit remained a force to be reckoned with. It was not just skill or luck that saved Lareth. It was the combination of intelligence, empathy, observation, patience, and courage, all qualities that made humans uniquely capable of achieving the impossible. Across the galaxy, the story would inspire others to remember that sometimes the greatest strength lay not in perfection or power, but in the willingness to face uncertainty with a clear mind, steady hands, and a heart willing to care. Elias stayed with Lareth until she could fully walk on her own. They spoke of recovery, of biological processes, of the subtle factors that had made the procedure possible. He shared his perspective, emphasizing patience, observation, and adaptability. She listened carefully, absorbing lessons that went beyond medicine. She understood that humans were extraordinary not because they had advanced machines or protocols, but because they could think, observe, and act when circumstances demanded it. In the following days, the Illyrian delegation formally recognized Elias' contribution. The story of the Clot and its removal became widely known, a symbol of human ingenuity and adaptability. Scientists, medics, and diplomats across the galaxy discussed it, analyzing the human approach and learning from it. The event became a defining moment in humanity's growing reputation, highlighting not only their technical skill, but also their empathy, observation, and courage under pressure. Elias returned to his ship quietly, carrying the satisfaction of a job well done. Lareth's life had been saved, and in doing so, he had shown that humans had a unique and indispensable place in the galaxy. They were not merely another species. They were problem solvers, innovators, and caregivers capable of achieving the extraordinary. The story of that day would echo across the stars, a reminder that in moments of crisis, humans could do what others could not, bridging gaps between technology and intuition, precision and care, rules and creativity. Humanity had proven itself once again, and the galaxy had taken notice. Even in the vast, cold expanse of space, the human spirit shone brightly, resilient, adaptable, and capable of achieving the impossible. And for Elias Ward, that quiet, steady realization was enough. Humans were more than survivors. They were a force for hope, ingenuity, and life itself, capable of rising to any challenge the universe could throw at them.